welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody is doing well. I want to thank everybody for their support. I will be reviewing the real Blac Chyna, and I'm wondering why would WeTv pick up a show that actually been out a year ago, and they actually showing the same episode from a year ago. And this is actually my first time watching this, okay? And when I watched this show, I was like, oh my God, it was very hard to watch. When I say dysfunctional, it was really crazy. You had Blac Chyna and Toni actually getting into an altercation. And they are both fighting each other like they are strangers on the street. You would think they wouldn't know each other, okay? And I really had a problem with this scene. It was very hard to digest this. I really didn't like what Toni did or was saying. First of all, she threw a shoe at her daughter first, and in return, Blac Chyna responded by throwing things back at her. And I didn't like the fact that Toni was saying she didn't care if her daughter was dead and she could suck a male penis. And Blac Chyna actually feels that her mother was never there for her, and she was really raised by her grandmother. And Toni actually feels some type of way. She feel like that the mother ain't never did nothing for Blac Chyna. And her grandmother didn't even buy her a pair of shoes. I feel like Toni is ungrateful because her daughter bought her a car and she like, what is that? And the car is actually just sitting in the driveway. I assume she don't want the car to be repossessed. And it's just sitting there. That's why she's not driving it, because Blac Chyna is actually paying for the car. And she feel like her daughter is supposed to take care of her because she's the mother. If you're a good parent, your children are going to go out their way to take care of you. That's only if you've been good to them, and they're going to know that you've been good to them. And in return, they're going to take care of you. I was just saying to myself, are they proud for taping this? Because if I was the one in their shoes, I would be highly embarrassed. I said, this scene actually made me feel, is the black community actually broken and so desperate for money that they're willing to sell their own souls to promote dysfunction in their family? Because if I was in their position, there is no much money in this world to get a production team to film me fighting against my mother. I know these things happen in real life. You have mothers and daughters that actually fight in real life. I have seen these things in real life. I don't care how much me and my mother don't get along. You could never get me to do that at all. Or with any of my family, period. If I feel like one of my family members want to fight me, I'm just going to walk away. You're going to be fighting by yourself, because there's no way you're going to get me to fight my family members for revenue, to have money in my pocket to provide for myself. That's just period. I think that's out of pocket and out of line. And I'm like, Blac Chyna have children. I like, they might be young now, but they gonna grow up and see this. And I said, what if your children do the same thing to you? They be like, what if they see this scene as a teenager and they become in their teenage days? They be like, oh, my grandma and my mom doing it, so why I can't do it? And they buck up against you. I do not condone parents and children fighting. At the end of the day, I was raised to respect my elders, but the people I was raised around do not act like Toni. So it is very alarming that she act like this. But I feel like with Toni is a deeper issue with her. I feel like, does Toni have resentment towards her daughter because she had her daughter young, and she probably feel that she messed up Toni's future? Because a lot of young parents that have children young have resentment towards their children and feel like they messed up their life. This is why I believe Chyna when she said her grandmother did everything for her instead of her mother. Because when you're young, a lot of the grandparents actually raise the children anyway, while the young parents run around town and do whatever they please. And they always feel like the grandparent is never doing anything or have not done enough for them. They're gonna always feel that way, especially in the urban community. And in reality, the grandparents do a lot, but the young parents never see that. And I really don't like that either. By the way Toni acts, I feel like she is stuck in her teenage mom ways, and she haven't really grown up emotionally into a mature adult. And I feel like that is due to her environment that made her like that. In my opinion, I think when ladies give birth, they should see a psychiatrist, because I've seen behavior patterns in women that when they give birth, they become different. I think a lot of ladies suffer from depression more than they let on. And I think it actually leads to being bipolar or schizophrenic because they don't get the help that they need after they give birth. That's just my opinion. And hospitals shouldn't just push ladies out the hospital after they give birth. They should actually see a therapist. Blac Chyna actually had these two friends, Ashton and Treasure, which I actually like them. But come to find out, these people are no longer friends because this has been happening over a year. And Tokyo actually have a problem with Treasure because she feel like she is the reason why her daughter got into the strip club at the age of 16. That is what the real issue with Treasure and Toni. And Toni actually says she is not a good friend. And she might have been right. But I saw Blac Chyna because I'm like, Ashton actually seemed like a cool dude. So what did he do? So what did he do wrong that he's no longer working with Blac Chyna? And I feel like Ashton probably no longer working with Blac Chyna because she's toxic as her mother. Because her mother installed that into her. Because on the show, Ashton and Treasure is actually Blac Chyna's support system. And they seem like they are the two voice of reasons when they come to these two. And they actually make sense, okay? So you have Blac Chyna looking like she happy, doing a photo shoot for Fashion Nova Men. And Treasure actually arrives to the photo shoot and want to know what happened. And Ashton actually explained what happened. And Treasure feels like Toni was the aggressor. She don't listen to people. And I actually agree with that. Toni actually come off aggressive. But I feel like that has to do with her environment. Because your environment can make you like that. If you live in the urban community, sometimes you don't want to be that way. But it brings that out of you. But I feel like Toni is showing her aggression to the wrong people. You do that to the outside world that's coming against your family. You don't show that type of aggression towards your family at the end of the day. And they coming up with a reason to call Toni because they all scared. They like, who gonna call? Who gonna call? They all scared of Toni. because they know how she is and they don't want to get cursed out. So they put Ashton to call Toni, and they want to set up a meeting between her and Treasure to get down to the bottom of why they don't like each other, to solve the issue between Blac Chyna and Toni. Toni is in a hotel and she is talking to this dude who I actually like. He seemed like a good dude, who another voice of reason for Toni. Toni don't want to listen. He tells her that she got anger issues. She like, it ain't my anger and stuff like that. And she like, she not gonna meet with her daughter. She not gonna do this with her daughter. She not gonna do that. And she wanna restore with her daughter. And she feel like they both need therapy. And I agree. They both do need therapy. They need individual therapy. And they need mother and daughter therapy together to work out their issues. But I want to say Toni gotta set the example. You're not a child no more. You actually are a mother and a grandmother. You have to be the bigger person to put your pride aside to fix the relationship with your daughter. Your daughter is longer for a relationship with you, and you want to put your pride aside to fix that. That is the most craziest thing in the world. It's the craziest thing in the world. So Ashton actually gets Toni on the line, and they actually sets up a meeting for Toni and Treasure to meet, and they're going to actually meet up in a park. And I have a problem with that, because when I think about meeting up in a park, I immediately think about we gonna throw down, because you from the hood and you talking about meeting up in the park and you know we don't like each other. That means we gonna square up. You heard me? I like, why we gotta meet in the park? But I guess it was for the best. Nobody wouldn't get hurt. And nobody won't be throwing nothing. They actually meets up in the park. Toni and Treasure with Ashton and the other guy. And they both is expressing each other to each other. Treasure want to know what is the issue. And Treasure tells Toni, we go way back from Oxon Hill. We actually know each other. And Toni actually says, we don't know each other. I only met you 3 times. And then she said 4 times. And Treasure actually brings up a time where she dropped by a Blac Chyna house where her mother was living with her. And I feel like Toni don't listen. She don't. And she don't see her own faults, but always gonna put blame on somebody else. And I said the pride of her is going to be her own downfall. Because you can't correct the error of your ways as you are older or growing in a growing process, child, it's not going to be no hope for her. And I'm like, what example are you setting for your grandchildren? To behave like a lunatic? I don't understand. Because let me tell you, you bring that aggression to another stranger who don't know you, they're going to put you in your place. Because you think you could do that to anybody. And somebody not knowing you will humble you in these streets, okay? Let me tell you, that's how real it gets in these streets. You're from the hood. I'm from the hood. We all know what goes on in the hood. Sometimes parents don't correct their bad children behavior, and somebody else in the street gonna let you know, I'm not your parent. We don't play like that, okay? Okay? Let me tell you. It will put you in your place. Oh, in the park, Toni actually takes off her jacket like she's going to fight Treasure. And Treasure gets annoyed because she feel like Toni is trying to play her by saying that she don't know her. Treasure actually gets loud with her and call her all kind of, I like, there's no way I could talk to somebody parent like that. Because I wasn't raised like that at the end of the day. When I would have seen Toni taking off her jacket, I would have just left her there acting a fool by herself. Because when I see you being an aggressor, that is gonna turn me to be aggressive too. And I can't have that with somebody parent. And I would have just walked away from her and let her have her arguing with herself by herself. I just would have walked away from her with all that. Cause I'm like, why are you taking off your jacket? First of all, it's like you want to throw down or something. And I was just would have walked away. Cause I'm not gonna get involved with that. And I actually like Ashton, so I believe these are a toxic family who can't keep good people around them. And if they don't work on their ways, I'm going to say this. You have to be careful what you put out there. Because there are going to be children that's going to grow up in your family. And you're supposed to be a role model. And the example you set is a negative example. And I say, if this would come with fame, baby, I don't want it. I'm all about chasing the paper, but not to this extent. Not to this extent where I'm going to put the image out that I'm going to be attacking and calling my family names. Whether they do it to me, it's okay. But I will not do it back to them at the end of the day. And I said, I hope Tokyo, Toni, and Blac Chyna get the healing they need.